Hello, welcome to our How to Build a Skateboard Deep Dive Showcase. I'm June Bea, CEO of Bea Group, and I'm here. We at Bea Group have been in collaboration with Downey Unified School District to bring about a virtual internship program. So this internship is paid. It's with young people who started in the program as juniors and now are seniors moving forward into the fall. And we have, it's been 6 weeks that they've been working with us at Bea Group, and they started the first 2 weeks with leadership development, with they had some workshops on social justice and equity in the workplace. We had communication mastery, and then they moved into doing deep dives with industry professionals. And this one is hands-on. This one is how to build a skateboard. And with this deep dive, I want to introduce Andrew. Hi, Andrew.
Hey June, how are you?
Good. So tell us more about what interns did working with you and how to build a skateboard.
Sure thing. So I think when you first hear build a skateboard, you get an idea like, okay, that's. I think there's a pause. People might have some questions about what that's about. So let me, unpack that a little bit, not to talk too much, and then share some of the things I'm excited about from having the opportunity to work with this wonderful team that we've had. Um, we have organized all our work in an online learning platform, and just some context. I've been a high tech high teacher for the last 15 years or so, and we went into the pandemic. I also run a nonprofit. The question that we wrestled with was how do we give people kind of like a hands-on project-based learning experience in their own spaces, in their own homes, in a virtual setting. And so it became a little bit of a challenge to do that. And we were coming up with all these project plans and ideas. Some were very ambitious, and we didn't get a chance to test them out. And so they moved on to the work that I had done with the nonprofit. We had the opportunity to team up with the Bay Group here, work with Downey students and who are now interns to really go through a product development process. So let me jump into the board and show you. We worked in an online collaborative platform called Miro, and this is kind of where we were at. So although it's called Build a Skateboard, it really was a prototyping internship with the basic question, the grounding kind of idea was, how does a thought or an idea about something become a product? What is the process that something like that goes through? For today, I would like to just share a little bit about the board, and then we really want to hear the stories from all the interns. I think they all have a unique experience, and they all have shared experience that I think has really been powerful and that we'd love to hear from. So we'll give them a chance to share, and then we can get into a point where we can have a little bit of interaction, Q&A, and as always, with anytime I get through, anytime I kind of work with young folks, I love to celebrate because I think they do some fascinating stuff. I'll go a quick run through the process, and then we'll turn it over to them. So we met in this space every day, and the prototyping process used elements of design thinking. It used elements of kind of like to shift mindsets away from kind of a school setting where there are assignments, but more that we're a team collaborating together with a vision to try to create something better. And in this case, it was how do we get this idea of building a skateboard into an actual viable thing, a kit that we can send out to people to give them a home experience doing this. And so I had a little bit of experience doing this myself, but once the interns got all their materials and we got into it, we got to a point very quickly where we didn't know which way to go. So we had to do the research. We had to figure out methodologies. We had to figure out standard procedures and things like that we could kind of focus in on. And I admire all the creative thinking and ideas that they brought to the fold in order to kind of accomplish this task. They all made a skateboard and they all turned out unique. And each one of them confronted issues along the way. Some of them were, similar issues they confronted, and some of them were unique. And none of them got stuck. They all came up with creative ways to get through that. And I can't wait until they share some of those stories and anecdotes as we get into it. I was just really excited to come every day and see how far they had gotten. So pretty much we'd come in, we'd meet every day after they did something. We wanted to collect thoughts about what the experience was like. So they will journal what they did. Where was the emotional engagement? Where are some thoughts about what could make this part of the build better? And we would extract those key points. And we did this pretty much every day throughout the build, where they would come in and share, extract key points. I really appreciated how they began just sharing ideas with one another in the comment section about how to overcome some of the issues that they were, having shared experience with. And after we went through the entire build, We even got to a point where there was no material on how to move forward. We had to figure it out. So this was just using their ability to go online and find digital tools and resources to do that. We got to the final, the second part of this, which was taking all those thoughts we had, distilling them down, going through a rapid ideation process, coming up with key redesign items. And in the end, they focused on 5 key things, well, 6 here, that could make these kits more viable, more user-friendly, that could kind of take away some of the things that were, not so, weren't the best parts of the experience, and really leverage the things that were the best parts of the experience. One of the things that they mentioned was, some of the parts about the actual materials and how we put them together. Maybe we could use the laser cutter to give some more templates to help guide people through that. There was a lot of consideration, which I really appreciated from these young folks, about the making these things environmentally friendly, and thinking of different packaging, thinking of different materials that we were using. And I really like that. Experimenting with different more environmentally friendly stuff, with different tools to use that might be a little bit more environmentally friendly. Videos, instructions, things like that, to help share ideas and guide people a little more. And then cool things like paint pens and brushes and kits. The one thing that we found in the end of this was that the boards really came alive when the students put their signature on it with their artwork and made it their own thing. So ownership was a big theme in this. I'm not going to speak much more about that. I'm going to let them share their thoughts from this point, but that's just to give you an overview of the process. It was very experiential and hands-on based, and I'm just thrilled to share some of the work. And so we can go through names as they appear on the list on the right over here. Carla, would you like to present first?
Sure.
Okay. Now I'm going to share this from the actual, the Flipgrid videos that are these little video reflections that they put in here. They're in each one of these kind of curated pieces that we put together for each intern. There's a little bit of writing they had on it. There's a picture of their board, and then there's a video reflection on the work. And then afterwards, Carla, I'd love to hear some thoughts for takeaways that you had from this overall intern experience. So let me make sure that I'm sharing with sound. And I will get into the Flipgrid videos, and we will share.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carla. This is my skateboard. I decided to do a album cover from BTS's Butter album. So for my board, I really like how it came out, although as you can see, I have a lot of flaws. I do wish that I would have taken my time more on some things, and I might have had a different outcome than I do now. I definitely had lots of struggles with this. My vacuum bag broke, a piece of my veneer snapped, so I only have 6. My grip tape is not on correctly. My art is alright. And my wheels are not even, but it's okay. I still really like it. Yeah, I do wish I would have taken more time on it. I was just so excited to finish it that I just kept going, and I didn't even think about the small details. Yeah, so I learned that this is way harder than I thought it would be. I thought it would be way easier, that I could just do it no problem. But it was not that. It was way harder. I did struggle a lot, and I was like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna do this? But I did it. So I really like it. Here's my board again. Yeah, so the only big thing I think that could make it better would just be my patience. Yeah, so again, I also learned that I am very, very impatient during this whole process. I don't know, I just had a lot of fun doing this. It was really cool to see my board come to life, and this wasn't my original idea for my board, but the other one did not work at all, so I had to do this one. But again, I really like it, and I'm really thankful I got to do this experience because it's really fun. So here's my board again.
Okay, Carla, I would love to hear some final thoughts or takeaways, celebrations, anything from the experience that, now that you've gone through it.
Yeah, it was really fun to create my board. Like I said in my flip grade, I had a lot of issues creating it, but I got through it. A lot of things broke, a lot of things didn't work, but it was really cool to go into the Miro board every day and see where everyone was at, and I got to like have feedback from my peers and just get their advice on what I should do, and I thought that was really cool. So yeah, this was really fun for me, and it was, I don't know, it was just really cool to do.
Awesome. Thank you, Carla. We have some people that have joined us, recently. I was wondering if, we could take a moment just to acknowledge some of our guests that are here. And,
Yes,
thank
thank
you all for joining us today. Of course, it's wonderful to have you. So if we want to take a moment for that.
Yes, thanks, Andrew. I wanted to introduce John Harris from the Downey Unified School District. Hi, John.
Hi, June. I am John Harris, the Director of College and Career Readiness for the Downey Unified School District, and so happy to be here to celebrate the learning of our students over the past few weeks, and really eager to see their projects. Thank you, Andrew, for guiding them over these past few weeks in terms of learning things that I'm sure they didn't completely quite anticipate learning over 4 weeks, but we're just really excited about what they've been able to do in this time period. I want to thank the Bea Group for their support in organizing this, as well as acknowledge our superintendent, Dr. John Garcia, and our Board of Education, who have had the vision, even going into the pandemic, of really pivoting to these online learning opportunities for our students. It is their vision that has really made this possible, along with very generous grant from various sources, California, the California Community College system. So with that, I'm really, really anxious to see exactly what the students have learned and what their projects have produced. Thank you, June.
Thanks, John. All right, Andrew, more showcases.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into it. Thank you, John. Your students who are my internship team where they were amazing. I really appreciate it. You guys have a good crew of young minds up there, creative minds. All right, so I'm excited to move on. Let's see who we can go to next. How about David? Would you like to share yours real quick? All right.
Yeah.
Get in here, and I will come down and find David's. Here we go.
Hi, my name is David, and this.
Oh. Apologies. Apologies for that. I wanted to make sure I was sharing sound. Okay, that's good.
Hi, my name is David, and this is my skateboard. Throughout this experience, I did really enjoy it. I really like my skateboard. I'd say the hardest part about it was probably the trucks, like drilling the holes. Mostly because it was just hard to get the correct alignment. I didn't have access to a roller. I'd say the most enjoyable part was probably creating the mold. I just found it satisfying to file down the styrofoam. One thing that makes this skateboard, like mine especially, is just because I put in the work to make this. I didn't go to like a van store and just customize it and have them make it. I made it myself basically from scratch. Not fully scratch, but I started from the steps. And then I'd say one thing to definitely make this kit better would just be making it more environmentally friendly, mostly because of the styrofoam. And also maybe if it just came with like a small little wrench to fit the nuts that go on the trucks. And yeah, that's basically all. I really enjoyed this opportunity. And one thing I did learn about this building skateboards is that it's not always going to be fast. It does take time, but it is a really good experience to endure.
All right, thank you, David. I would love to hear some final thoughts, takeaways from the overall intern experience, implications for, things you learned about yourself, maybe in a professional setting, things like that.
Overall, this experience did show me that I do really enjoy woodwork. It's not something I really knew I would enjoy. Before, I had never really worked with wood. I mostly just like helped set up canopies and stuff, and I feel like it's a pretty cool experience that can help me lead into a career, especially with woodwork.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, David. Um, who's on the screen here? How about Reagan? You want to do yours next? Do you feel good about it?
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's do it.
You're always excited. One thing I appreciated about Reagan is he showed up every meeting, just really excited, full of energy. You always bring that to a team. It's some of those intangibles that I like to point out. It was awesome working with you, all of you. But it was just, you're always smiling. It's a really good thing. So let's share, get into it.
Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Cardoza and I'm part of the Build a Skateboard Deep Dive, and as you can see, I built my skateboard, and what I like most about this project is that I plan on gifting this to my niece, so it would be really fun to see her as she moves into middle school. I remember when I moved into middle school, I had a skateboard and all the memories that I built with it, and allowing her to build those same memories as well is going to be just really heartwarming in a sense. And I left it blank on purpose to allow her to design whatever she would like on it. I know she's really artistic, so allowing her to do whatever she wants would be, I'm sure it'd be a really fun experience for her. But what I feel like makes this project like mine is the fact that every time I see it, I know I'm gonna think like, wow, I took a bunch of just pieces and put them all together, and allowing her to build those memories that I once had, where it's just very few opportunities you get like that. But I think that moving into version 2.0, like, the main thing that I would change is that when I was drilling the holes for these trucks, I was getting some wood splitting, so the boards were starting to split a little bit, and that's partly just because my technique isn't very well. But I think that laser cutting these holes and pre-cutting them would be a much more enjoyable experience, and take out any risk of damaging the board. Because although you can't see, I know it's there, and it's gonna bug me that it's there, but you know what, it works really well, and I really like the way it came out. I feel like with skateboarding, I didn't really know much about it, and I honestly just thought that it was just one piece of wood, but understanding that it's made up of a bunch of different layers, and that all the layers serve a purpose, really allowed me to like understand how a skateboard works. It's not just a piece of wood and some wheels. But what I learned most about myself is that when I took my time and I like actually sanded the sides and I really focused on the details, I made this project take off to like a new level. It really made me feel like it was mine. I feel so accomplished with it, and yeah, I feel like that's something that I really enjoyed. Well, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a nice day.
Awesome. Thank you, Reagan. I would love to hear some final thoughts that you might have from the overall intern experience.
Yeah, for some final thoughts is as I mentioned, I was gonna give it to my niece, and I actually just gave it to her yesterday. She hasn't gotten a chance to write it yet, but her parents said that they would send me videos of her writing it so that I can see how she enjoys it. But one thing I wanted to add is that Andrew did a really good job at leading us in like a really good manner, making sure that we're always on task and stuff like that. I run a makers club at my school, which is essentially like a maker space for students to use. But we create projects very similar to this. And going through this experience, it allowed me to envision a way of like teaching the students how to use these machines, but avoid the classroom feeling where it's just like a teacher's teaching students, but more of it's like an engaging experience. So I think that's like the major thing that I'm gonna take away and I'm gonna apply in the future with my makers. So I would say those two things were like my big takeaways from this experience.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Reagan. I really appreciate all of you that have gone so far. Thank you so much. Is there anyone that would like to volunteer to go next? Because I can just pick someone. All right, Michael, hands up. Here we go. All right.
There. My name is Michael Gonzalez, and this is my skateboard.
Oh, pardon me. Apologies. Give me 1 second. All right. I just want to clarify. I remember, Michael, we were having a little challenge with the volume of the voice on there, and it was. We have another video that he submitted that has better volume. So let me actually access that. Apologies for that. Let me just get to that real quick. And again, these are all kind of like the curated writings and everything else. I'll share this link with everyone in the chat if you want to come through and kind of see their work or see kind of what we were able to curate from it. It's all here. And so you can click on this. And here is Michael's video.
There. My name is Michael Gonzalez, and this is my skateboard. I feel that with my board, there are many ways that I could have improved it. However, I'm still very proud of the outcome. I love the shape, and what makes it feel like it's mine is knowing that I crafted it with my own 2 hands, which fills me with a sense of pride and accomplishment. From this experience, I learned that the board itself is created with layers of veneer rather than just one straight board, which strengthens the board in several different directions. Some thoughts that I considered to make the experience easier was marking holes for the veneer prior to shaping the board, that way you're marking on a flat rather than a curved surface. I also learned how much of an interest I have for hands-on craftsmanship, and that I'll continue working on the board to improve and continue learning as well.
Thank you so much, Michael. I would love to hear some final thoughts you might have from this overall experience.
The final thoughts that I have is that the board itself, I really enjoyed the craftsmanship of it. It really does feel the crafter how it feels to actually build a skateboard. It was a fun experience. I really loved it, and I would recommend this experience to multiple people. And I'm really happy with the experience I had overall.
Michael, I'm curious for you and those of you going next. Does this impact any of your thoughts moving into kind of like a professional environment? It could be about the work itself, maybe the way that we work together and collaborated as a team, anything along those lines, maybe something that you didn't like about it, maybe like working online isn't your thing. So I'm curious, just thoughts on that for everyone.
It really let me see how building a skateboard goes and how much more of a professional feel it is. Because from my previous understanding, I thought a skateboard was just a board with wheels on it, but this lets me see how there's a design process behind it and how in depth people go to build these skateboards and how a professional level has so much more detail than just a board with wheels on it.
Awesome. Thank you. You reminded me of, I visited Northrop Grumman when they were putting together the James Webb Space Telescope, and I got to visit their fabrication department. And they do a lot of experimentation with composite materials, which in a way is what a skateboard deck is. You're using different qualities of different materials to get an overall character of the material. And you guys participated in that. Even though it's a skateboard, you made this composite material, which was awesome. Great. So how about Jezebel? Would you like to go next?
Yeah.
All right. See if I can bring this up.
Hello, my name is Jezebel, and here's my board. And I think it came out pretty good. I really like it. I like the drawing. I like the little vines that I drew on there. And I think what makes it mine are the little imperfections that I know are there. And when it comes to skateboard making, I learned that there are so many layers. I didn't know that before. And I didn't know that there were different textures, like, there was a rough side and there was a polished side. And the experience was a little confusing at first, a little overwhelming because I haven't done anything like this before. I've never done anything this hands-on, where I was going to be able to actually test it out at the end. So even though it was a little confusing at sometimes, it was really fun and I really enjoyed myself. And as we move towards version 2.0, I think maybe adding more clips to the kit would probably be helpful for anybody who might not have clips laying around, as a lot of us had. So I think one thing that I learned about myself was probably how I'm not as patient as I thought I was, because I know with all the excitement of seeing everybody else finishing their boards and just really wanting to put grip tape and trucks and wheels on mine, I probably didn't wait as long as I should have with the gluing process. But overall, it was really fun, and I hope everybody gets to enjoy their boards as much as I like mine.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jezebel. I would love to hear some final thoughts from you from the overall experience.
Right. Overall, like it was such an amazing experience. I had never done anything like this before. And there was a point in time where I had a family emergency, so I couldn't put as much time as I wanted to into my board, which led to me rushing a couple things, but it was still so rewarding to be able to see like my final process, like final progress and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed how we worked together, because we communicated through online, yet it didn't feel anything like school did, especially because online school was a lot different from this internship experience. I felt a lot more freedom, a lot more creativity, and a lot more communication than there was like during the school year. So I really appreciated that, like with working with everybody else as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jezebel. That was awesome. You're getting a lot of claps. All right, let's move on. We have a few more, and as these were coming in, as Jezebel mentioned, there was, not everyone finished at the same time. Everyone was dealing with different things that they had to overcome, personal, with the boards itself. I would be so excited to like see it. Like the next one would be posted, and it could be the middle of the night. I'd get up and watch it. So it was a really cool experience on my end as well to see the work that was coming in. How about Miguel? Would you like to share yours?
Yeah, I like to share. I'm ready.
All right. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Miguel Magana, and this is my skateboard. I just finished it, and it was a good process. There was a lot of things I learned, the mistakes I ran into, issues I had. Mostly, it's an overall good experience. I learned a lot of new things. Like before this internship, I did not know like what to build a skateboard with, so I didn't know how it looked like. The process was kind of cool. I never thought about using a vacuum bag, to make the mold. It's really interesting to see, because some stuff in real life I use are made that same way too. And I learned it was very hard to do this at some point, because you can't keep the board from not moving. I keep it together. That's something I had trouble with. Overall, I had do it right. I had clips to hold it together and everything. And I enjoyed the paint job of it, because it reminds me of my city, Los Angeles, which is usually the home to the area where skateboarding came from originally, the LA area. Kind of connects to its roots. It's all the LA culture there. That's it. I learned a lot, and I learned how a bunch of prototyping. If there's an issue, you gotta find a way to go around it. A lot of brainstorming. I got better over the time. The first two boards I glued together were kind of crooked, but after all, I started getting together and doing it straight, and eventually got it good. It's a lot of take your time.
Awesome. Thank you, Miguel. I'd love to hear some final thoughts that you might have overall about the experience.
Yeah. First of all, I know it probably hurts a lot. Like next time was not use styrofoam. It's hard to use. I went to a process when I was vacuuming. The styrofoam was actually bending because it kept getting pushed against, and also it's it's not really good for the environment. That's my main issue with it. Also, either pre-drilled holes or just better laser drilled holes, because the same thing with Reagan. I had an issue when I started drilling the holes. It started to bend, so I had to sand it down or fix it. That's basically the only issues I had.
Thank you so much, Miguel.
you.
Miguel, one thing I really appreciated about you was that, I remember you and I were going back and forth. You kept running into some snags here or there, which really kind of brought to the group all these things that we need to design for moving forward. But you always found a way around it. And in the end, your board came out great. And I just really appreciated your perseverance. And so thank you. It was awesome.
Yeah.
All right. We have a couple more. We have David Martinez and Zitlali. Zitlali, do you mind? Are you ready to go? Do you want to try yours?
Yeah, I can go.
Okay. And I know she mentioned in a chat with me that you were having a little bit of trouble with your Wi-Fi connection. So, if any of that issue comes up, please let us know. And, we have all the stuff documented that we can share, but I'm excited to share. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Sitlali and this is my skateboard. I can honestly say that I'm really proud of how it turned out regardless of all the different flaws. It really shows that I made it myself and I didn't go to the store and just buy a skateboard like most people do. My favorite part about the board is probably the design. I had a lot of fun adding the Coca-Cola stickers and then adding the share Coke with Sitlali like it does on different bottles. I'm a huge Coca-Cola fanatic, so that was probably the best experience. When it comes to skateboard making, I learned the importance of knowing how to improvise when things didn't work out the way you really expected them to. For example, clamping down the sides with just one clamp was really difficult with my board because there were a lot of gaps. So I figured out how to come up with different clamps, like with different household items, and that was able to get most of the sides down. While I was building the skateboard, I truly learned that I have it in me to not be a perfectionist all the time. That would probably be the biggest thing I learned about myself throughout the whole process. I'm typically not a fan of art projects because when the teeniest detail isn't perfect, I get stressed out and frustrated. So I tend to avoid them. But I found myself that with the skateboard, I was able to kind of not ignore the mistakes because I saw them, but I didn't stress over them as I usually would. I knew it was all part of the process, so it would be okay if everything wasn't exactly the way it was supposed to be. Overall, I can truly say that the experience was an amazing one, even with all the ups and downs, and I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to build my own skateboard, and now I can go ahead and ride it whenever I want to.
All right. That was awesome. Thank you so much. I would love to hear some final thoughts that you might have.
I just wanted to share the biggest takeaway. It would probably be the importance of supporting your peers, because I found that it helped if you motivate each other, it kind of helps make the process go a lot smoother.
I can say from my perspective, you guys worked really well together, and I really appreciated the times that you guys had where I kind of just stood back and you guys interacted and gave each other tips and how to push forward. And really good team. You guys made a really great team. All right, and I believe this is last but not least, we have David Martinez, who I love the artwork on your board. So are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Hi, my name is David Martinez, and here's my board. I really liked how it turned out with the Keith Haring artwork, and I chose this artwork because it expresses safe sex, and he was very distinct with his art style. I can appreciate the carving that was put into my board because of how smooth it is and how long it took. It made me really appreciate wood carving. I learned that getting feedback and going through making something with other people helped push me forward, using other people's ideas and making this build run smoothly. And putting in my ideas was my favorite part of this whole experience. It was definitely really rewarding.
All right, thank you so much. David, I'd love to hear some final thoughts overall.
Yeah, I loved hearing all the feedback from my peers and making a skateboard that was so personal to us. Overall, it was a fun experience and it was really informative.
All right, so it looks like we went through everyone, and I'm hoping I got to everyone here. Let's see. It seems so. I'm going to share a link to this Miro board. If any of the participants would like to go in and kind of look around to take a deeper peer into what some of the day-to-day might have looked like or what some of the overall work might have looked like, please feel free to go and do that. But I'd also like, if any of the participants there, is there anything that you'd like to ask of the interns? Any questions that we might have to have a little bit of Q&A time to interact?
Hi, this is Kelly Cooper. I have a question for the interns. What you experienced, educators often refer to as project-based learning, and you have an idea or a concept for a project, doesn't matter what class it is in, and you figure out how to make something, solve problems, and collaborate together. It sounds to me, and I'd like to hear from you without assuming anything, that this approach really resonated with you. Could you see going through this type of an experience in your classroom as well, as on the job here as interns? Would you like that experience if you're in a class to be able to learn and build things together?
For me, I would love to see this. Personally, I thought it was a really great experience, and it really, even if everyone has their own individual projects, being able to collaborate as a group and get feedback from your peers, the whole design process is all just really, it gets everyone going, and it really helps to teach people the different aspects and get different views.
I'll add on to what Michael said. I think it would be really cool to do this in a classroom, but it has to be like a balance in a sort of way. Like, I think a lot of the fun of doing this was that it didn't feel like we were in class. So if there was a balance to that, I think it would be really cool.
I'd like to add on. I feel like it's really useful because, it kind of gets us ready for actual career, not just, no offense to any teachers watching. Worksheets get boring, it gives a worksheet, you just teach us, just answer a question, give us like a project, something, interesting, real, or something that connects to the real world. And also you can't cheat on a project either, unlike a worksheet. So you can really see real teaching through a project and a worksheet.
I'm actually curious, how many of you have done projects before? Yeah. So I've been working from home for over 20 years. Everything I do at work is a project. So this is why for this internship, it was all of your peers throughout the other deep dives also did projects. Yours was the only one where you actually made something, built something, have something in that way that was tangible. So yeah, do you want to say anything about what it was like to do a project and get paid for it?
I mean, I think the coolest part about doing this deep dive, like you said, having something tangible like you can actually hold and you're really proud of. But we had very little there, we had guidance throughout the whole process, but as we kept moving on, the guidance was kind of taken back and we were leading the project. And I think that's what I like the most. Whenever anything student led, it's always really exciting because you see who the leaders are and you see who's good at what, and we all were able to work together to support each other. So I think that's what I really like about working on projects like this.
Another thing I wanted to point out that is fantastic about this project, and that is, at the end of the day, although you had a lot of creativity, a skateboard has wheels, it needs to support a body, and it needs to be able to go down the street. And oftentimes what happens in the classroom is we're learning about things, and then maybe on our own we make things, but we need to keep our customer's perspective in mind. And to be able to say, hey, you have all the creative freedom in the world. However, it needs to have wheels. Someone needs to be able to stand on it, and it needs to roll down the street. It really, I think, emphasizes, and so congratulations, Andrew, it really emphasizes to be creative within constraints, or to be creative within regulation or compliance, to be creative and yet still functional. And that's what I think is one of the really special elements of this particular deep dive. So congratulations, everyone. It's important work.
Thank you so much, Kelly. One of the things I always think about whenever doing work with young folks is how does this work live beyond, the actual time that we've had together to do the thing that we're doing? How does it inspire the next step? So they went through this prototyping cycle, and in the end, they had all these solutions for how to make this process better. And we're itching to try it over again. And of course, because of time constraints and everything else, design constraints, that's going to be the next cohort. But if there was another cohort to come in here, I would love, if I get this chance to do this again with another group of interns, to a certain extent, I'd love all of your involvement to see where your input goes from here, and how the legacy of your contributions to this process of bringing this thing to life, to fruition, how might that impact future people in a space where they could benefit from doing this type of activity. And
Well, you
so
get your chance, because all of our co-designer interns who have been supporting these efforts, everyone on our team who wanted a skateboard has a skateboard. I actually have one in front of me right now. So those of you, we will be building off of your experiences. So we certainly welcome you to give us feedback.
I wanted to mention that Barb has posted a question from the audience watching on YouTube. So I'm going to read the question, and Andrew and intern team, the question, which you can see in chat, is, was it challenging to work on something physical where you could not actually look over someone's shoulders to see what they were doing, to give an example? In other words, did the online nature of the project make it more challenging because it was a physical design?
I think with the project, it was a bit of a challenge not to have any physical references that we could see, but at the same time, it also added, it was fun and made the project a lot more in depth, because we got to work on it and find solutions on our own, and it let us utilize our resource gathering skills to see how we could solve these solutions, such as looking online. We all gathered together and collaborated to find different ways of adding a grip tape, adding holes for the trucks. It was really nice to work together, and the online feel, it may have made it more challenging, but I think it was a good utilization to make us use our skills.
And I wanted to add that, so with using Miro as a way to collaborate and for us to bring our ideas together, I would say that online field definitely kind of wasn't there. Because we were constantly talking every single day, sharing ideas. So I think, although yes, it was online, I did not feel it at all. I was like Andrew said, I woke up every morning. I was really excited to share my ideas and work with everyone else. So yeah.
And part of the design process that we went through that Michael mentioned, and thank you, Reagan, for that feedback also, was that we spent some time using just the pool of resources that are at our disposal in an online setting. At times where we were caught with questions, I'm not the center of this thing. We were a flattened kind of learning community team together. For example, there was a day where we got to a point in the build where we didn't have definitive ideas about the correct route forward. And that was kind of right at this part. It's like, we need to get ideas for adding art. And, they were going online and adding documents, they were adding resources, they were adding videos, they were adding articles for all these different things. How do we actually add the sealant? How are we going to drill the holes? How do we add grip tape? And again, this informed not only our next steps in this kind of microcosm, but how we would redesign this moving forward to make this part of the experience be a little bit more facilitated for others and a better experience for others. So we had a chance to dive into that as a real world learning dynamic that exists now, as opposed to someone like me that went to school and we had to go to the library and pull out a book, or find someone in the community that knew how to do it. So, which are still resources, but I think young folks they have a knack at being able to gather online resources very quickly and put them to use. And I really appreciated that about this team in particular as we went through this process.
So those are definitely workplace intelligence skills, because to be able to learn something and to share it and to build off of it in a community is really what happens at work. Often we don't really know. I mean, this internship is a perfect example. We have had a lot of folks who we invited, we hired co-designer interns last summer. We've had a team of co-designer interns since last fall. And it's been this iterative process in this whole design process, right? Where we are constantly improving. So those, I hope all of you interns just recognize that those are workplace intelligence know-how that you have that you can use. So I was just curious, do you feel like what you did, this process, that you could take with you in perhaps future work or in school? Like, do you have examples of some of these that you would use in the future?
I'll go. So just working with our team, I think I can really take away like the whole team part of this. It was really crucial to get everybody's like feedback every day that we came in, and that was really like helpful. So I think that's something I will be taking away from this.
Yeah, the teamwork, the collaboration, Carla. Those are often what people are looking for when they're hiring, the ability to work in teams and the ability to communicate. Anyone else want to add to Carla's comments?
I want to agree with Carla. I like the whole team aspect, but also taking the time to kind of like time management. When you do projects like this, when you have things that are based on time, like gluing, where you need to wait until it's dry enough to be able to go on to the next part. I think I learned kind of how to plan certain things out and really taking account of what time slots that I have to do my project. And I think that's something that I'll take away from this internship.
Lally, you always had so many wonderful thoughts to share. I always appreciated just the depth to your thoughtfulness when giving feedback to one another. I'm curious what your ideas about this are in terms of like the workplace intelligence and some of those things that might resonate with you as you went through this experience.
Well, regarding the workplace intelligence, it really did like take a lot of mental. It was all in your head, because like for example, we didn't have a schedule, so we had to basically time ourselves out and make sure that we were getting what we had to do done to meet our deadlines.
Awesome, thank you. David, can you talk a little bit more about the art that was inspired on the bottom of your board? I remember you mentioned a little bit about it. There was a particular artist, and just where did that come from?
Yeah, I just really liked his art. It's like plain. It's kind of like basic, but like I wanted something like not too like. And I had markers that I had, and I just like kind of started drawing it. It took me a while to draw it, but like that's like the kind of art I like, and it was plain, but I really liked how it turned out in the end.
And are you keeping yours as an art piece, or are you planning on riding it?
Oh yeah, I'm planning on writing it.
Oh, and for those of you riding it, remember, wear protective gear and be careful, please. Please.
I wanted to add something. It was kind of mentioned before earlier through a question, but um, throughout the entire process, we always try to keep the consumer in mind. There were a lot of situations where we felt that it would make it easier if we did this because okay, I'll just give an example. One of the things was like the styrofoam. Day one, the first thing we thought was like, okay, styrofoam is not environmentally friendly, and the mess it creates is just, I mean, luckily, like I have like a big garage with a lot of vacuum, so I can like sweep it up really quickly, but that's not accessible to everyone. So we wanted to keep that in mind. Another thing was like the vacuum bags. That was a huge issue that a lot of people face, that the vacuum bags were breaking. So we started coming up with ideas to rethink of how the vacuum bag, maybe going through stricter quality control from the manufacturer or something. Just many different ideas that we came up with. But I feel like those things, that part of the design process, understanding like is this functional for the consumer, was probably my favorite experience, because I'm really interested in like product design, and like I have 3D printers, and I 3D print pieces for like my friends and family, for things that they need. But I always keep in mind like, okay, is it gonna work for them the way I want it to, and does it work for them properly? So going through this process allowed me to rethink of how I even design things for other people. So make sure it fits their needs well. So.
That was awesome. Yeah, that was definitely a theme that we had through this. What's that? The piece of audience in project-based learning is huge. Who are we doing this for? Who is the end user? And how are we considering them and then translating our work through that? For some of it, it was us. We were making the board for ourselves, right? But some, I loved how some of you were, and also in some of the other interns that were joining us from, other areas, like, how are you creating this for someone? Reagan, you were giving it to your niece, you mentioned. Really cool. There was another one where one of a person on our team gave it to his brother, and because he lost his skateboard and was going to college and to have it. So it was a lot of really cool stories just in that same vein that you mentioned, where people were considering, how are we creating this for somebody, and what's the meaningfulness that comes out of that type of work, the authenticity. So thank you for sharing that. I gotta say, I loved working with all of you. You guys were so great. I mean, I'm gonna miss seeing you guys on a regular basis, but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna be in touch. I might be bothering you with emails here and there just to see how things are going and how this work might have lived beyond kind of, and your growth might come to play out beyond this experience. But I just want to say that I really loved coming and seeing you guys every day that we had a chance to get together. And I didn't know how this was going to turn out. We jumped into this together. We didn't know if this was going to work or not. So you guys did great.
Yeah, how did you feel knowing that you were led by someone who was really transparent about, hey, this might not work? How did that feel?
At first, I was a little worried. I'm gonna be honest, but then I let go of that worry, because there weren't any like penalties for anything going wrong. It was part of the process that we had to go through. And I thought, if I worry so much about this, I'm not gonna pay attention to the things that I should be paying attention to. So I just put my trust into my team and my group, and went off of based of off of the things that we collaborated on, and I got my skateboard.
Yeah, I wanted to add on to that. like her, I was a little, it's always a little like you're always going a little skeptical when you're like, we don't know where this is gonna go. It can work really well or not work at all. And but I also came to that realization. It's like, I'm not really being graded by on this. It's just I need to express my creative ability and support my peers, and we'll get this project done. So I felt like that brought everyone closer together because in a sense, we were trying to reach a goal that we all wanted. We wanted to complete this board, so that was really fun.
Failure is actually part of the process, right? Yeah, other comments and other questions from anyone?
I would love to hear, because I know from speaking to each one of you individually at times here and there, each one of you dealt with your own, your own issues. And like I mentioned, some of them were personal, some of them were with the process, some of them were with the materials not working out so well. And each one of you kind of relied on, yourselves at times, but also others and some people that weren't involved with the internship. And, just overall, like just keeping motivated, keeping inspired. Um, I would love to hear some celebrations, a shout out that each one of you might have to someone, something, something that you might be able to appreciate about this experience overall, or something that helped you along the way.
I think with this whole group, I'd really love to thank everyone, because everyone in this group has all helped each other push each other forward and complete the board, and it's really useful. Like how you mentioned earlier, everyone commenting on each other's posts and feedback, it was really useful and it really helped other people get forward. So I'd really like to thank them and their families as well, because everyone had the family members helping them, and it meant a lot to them. So I think I'd like to thank them a lot.
I agree with Michael, but I think for the whole team, we'd also like to thank Andrew because he led us and gave us advice on. I know personally, I was messaging him when things weren't going right, and I'm sure other people did as well. So I'd like to say thank you to Andrew.
It's my pleasure, Carla. It's hard to accept thanks, but thank you.
I can go next. So yeah, like Carla, huge shout out to Andrew. He was a really big help. But and everyone within the group, you guys all did a really good job. Someone in particular, I know they're not here, but I think they're on the YouTube live. My dad was a really big help. He when he saw the pieces, I think he was a little bit more excited about building the skateboard. He saw all the parts and he was just like, oh, this is so cool. And he was constantly asking me like how it's going. So having that support around was really motivating to keep moving forward. So yeah. Oh, and Nick, I see someone from the chat, Nicholas McDaniel. Yeah, he's one of my good friends. So hi, Nick. So there you go.
I wanted to go. Oh. I just wanted to applaud everyone on their creativity. All of the boards look really cool, like with the artwork and everything.
How about David? It'd be great if you could each go.
Yeah, sorry, I was gonna add on. I just was gonna let Solali go first. I didn't know if she saw, but I wanted to thank Andrew and the team as well, like everyone else. I feel like this was mostly possible because of everyone working together. But similar to Reagan, a huge part of this was also from my dad. He used to do a lot of board work as a kid, so he helped me when I got stuck, and it was a good opportunity overall to connect with people and get help from different people.
How about you, Miguel?
I think Andrew and also my dad as well. Andrew was always very helpful. Like had an issue, he always try, help me with it. And from my dad too, because, and help me supply some of the tools. Because he saw us building a skateboard and said, "Oh, you need a special screw for that." I said, "Yeah." And then we went to go get one. Because we use a special screw called countersink because we want the screw to look flush. Because the way the screw shape is, kind of kind of goes inwards. So we helped me with that and make it look nice. And that's it. Hats off to Andrew for helping or being here with us.
You guys are too kind. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. We have two Davids here, actually. And I remember when you said David, both of them were,
No,
so I'd love
sorry,
to hear
David
from you,
Martinez,
Mr. Martinez. I'd love to hear from you.
Oh yeah, I wanted to thank you, Andrew, because like you would send you try to keep us on task, so that we weren't falling behind. And I was falling behind in certain areas, but you would email me and ask me how it was going, and that was really helpful. Thank you.
And Jezebel, how about you?
Right. So I want to thank everybody and Andrew because similar to a couple others, I had times where I fell behind, but seeing everybody else and their progress, it really encouraged me to keep going and to, and also Andrew for never making me feel bad because I know I was a lot harder on myself about not being where I wanted to be, but I never got any pressure from anybody on the team or Andrew. And, all I got really was positivity and encouragement from everybody. So I want to thank you guys.
Yeah, we had a funny story that we could share between Jezebel and I. So she was having a really hard time. You can share it if you want. Go ahead, Jezebel.
Right. So I was having a hard time with family matters at first. So that's why I didn't have as much time as I had thought I was going to have because it was really abrupt. It was really sudden. And then as soon as I started, my vacuum bag started having some issues. So then I emailed Andrew and we were like, okay, I was gonna send some over and then I could get back to work. And then I was supposed to get here on a Friday and I waited and I decided to just go with my mom once we had the time on the Monday after that weekend to go get a vacuum bag. And then I got all my work done despite also being sick at the time and having a fever. So then once we meet up on that Tuesday and he's like, "Oh, did you receive the vacuum bag?" We find out that the vacuum bag was sent to the wrong address. So it did get to somebody, but someone completely random. So they got vacuum bags.
I remember just the talk. I was like, I looked at the thing. It showed up. It was delivered, and we looked at the address. And Jezebel was like, I don't know who that is. And so somebody has vacuum bags that just says "Work Wonder" on it, and it's so. Yeah. But I mean, the things that Jezebel had to confront, and all of you did. But the things that, in particular, that she had to confront, and we were communicating back and forth. Just I was always saying, put your health first, put everything first, your family, things like that. But she persevered and got through it all, and it's admirable. It was so awesome. So, I really appreciate you and the things you've done, and you didn't let anything hold you back. So it's just a testament to who you are and your character, and all of you as well. You guys all struggle with things, so that's something in life I think that is so vitally important. That setbacks, things that don't work out as expected. Those are it's just, you guys just rolled with it, and you just moved on to the next thing and you all succeeded. So I hope that is a lesson in itself for all of you.
Yeah, with that, congratulations, everyone. This is huge. We really appreciate you doing this live. This was something we sprung on last minute, which was, hey, you're all gonna go live. And so thank you for doing that. We have been going live this whole time, and we actually have one more showcase in 20 minutes at 2:00. So I am gonna wrap up the live here and encourage folks to join us for AR/VR because that's our next one. at 2 p.m. here live on youtube.com/baygroup. So I'm going to say bye. Join us in 20 minutes. And please, you all don't leave from the skateboard group. I'm only going to end the